Welcome to Contra Costa Confidential, the podcast that takes you behind the gates and into the hearts of the Contra Costa Country Club community. I'm JD McCormick, owner of Pan Coast Pizza, member of the Contra Costa Country Club since 2016, and a member of the board.
And I'm Brett Thomas, another Contra Costa member here since 2023. Also an entrepreneur, own a baseball facility down in San Ramon. And whether you're talking about golf mastery, sharing the lore of our historic course, or sitting down at the chef's table, we're here to give you an insider's look at the lifestyle and the legends that make this club home. Welcome to episode 3 of Contra Costa Confidential. And we dive into one of my favorite things in the entire world today, food and bev, JD.
Love it. I'm looking forward to it. We've got some good guests coming on. Talking front of house, back of house. We're going to talk to Tony, talk about some events coming up. We got some surprise wine tasting too.
I think food and beverage is my favorite thing in the world.
Obviously.
I mean, I think that it's like one of those things people talk about, like going on diets. Like, I can't. I just love good food and the good wine.
Yeah. And I know you did dry January, but I just can't buy into it.
You know, I think that there's
holding a glass of wine.
I think that there's a point where you have to do hard stuff in life, right? You just have to push yourself to do hard stuff. But the thing is I'm conceding 1 month to do basically whatever I want for 11 months, right? So people are like, oh, make good decisions all the time. Not me. I'm just going to do it for 1 month, and then I'm just going to blow it out, and I'm going to drink as much wine as I can for the next 11.
I love it. I mean, listen, you know, I'm dedicated to my craft.
You're not a quitter. It is honestly, this episode on the food and wine and how things are working here. And then Al Palitz, 30-year member, came on, and dude, that was pretty cool. I mean, the history stuff just totally gets me, dude.
I could talk to that guy like all day.
He was so good. He's definitely going to come back on.
Yeah.
But that was awesome.
We'll boomerang him.
How about the trailers, by the way? Little sneak peek there.
Yeah,
that was
I think
cool.
we got to bring that back. I've heard legends and stories of
sure.
what happened in the trailers.
Yeah.
That definitely stayed in the trailers.
Hey-o.
Yeah, but.
Well, we're excited about this episode. Hope you guys enjoy.
All right, Al, thanks for joining us. Give us a little background on you, how long you've been at the club, and what brought you to Contra Costa.
Yeah, I joined in the early 90s. It's kind of middle of my career as a physician, young kids, home, no time off, but a desire to get out and play golf, and an invitation to try the course out, and then jumping in. I jumped in at a time when the course was down and all the greens were being rebuilt. It was just a few years before they did this clubhouse. And so my first year and a half was getting out and playing temporary greens, nobody on the course, playing in 2 hours, and kind of went from there.
Wow. What did that, can I ask, what did that cost to join?
Oh, gosh. What was the original? It's a good question. You know, I don't worry about that
I'm always
stuff.
Curious because obviously, I mean, it's 30 plus years ago.
I think it was 15,000, something like that. I think that was where it was.
That's more than I was thinking.
Yeah.
So talk about that project with the greens. That's interesting. I didn't know about this. In the early 90s, they were redoing the greens and building the clubhouse.
They just did the greens first, and then they got through a project to redo the clubhouse and built that. And it's really a wonderful time in the club because the greens came up before the clubhouse. When the clubhouse was torn down, they had trailers out here. And it was a wonderful time in the history of the club because people would play, they go down to these trailers, everybody had a bottle in their locker. It was a real golf club, no country club kind of amenities at all. And so many different games of guys of different age, and everybody get together and have a drink afterwards and settle bets, and it had a real spirit to it. I think that's deep in the DNA of the club, actually. It's always been a working class golf club. With people really competitive, battling on the course, whatever handicap, whatever ability, with the guys they played with, and women too. Yeah, no, it's been the best membership in the Bay Area. I can say hands down. I played them all, and there's none that compare.
Compare the course now, today, what we're playing, to what it was when you first joined. I know temporary greens and everything, but you're one of the few who has played it pre-remodel as well. So give us some context there.
Much, much more playable. The redesign, what it really did is allow you many different ways to get to the hole. Before then, the players that really had the advantage are ones that could hit it high, fly it to the greens, because the surrounds were very difficult to maintain in good condition, and balls would not jump up onto the green. There's no way to sort of bring it in lower and one hop it into the green. And so you're tough with scruffy, difficult lies, tough up and downs. It was just much more work. Now there's so many different ways to sort of enter the hole, and you know, you can fly it to the hole, you can shape it, you can roll it in, bounce it in. That's better for players of all ability, men, women, old, young. It's a fun course now. It's a really fun course. Some people feel like it makes it too easy. I just think it makes it so much more interesting for so many players.
I don't really like when anybody says golf is easy.
Of course, it's as hard as you make it, for sure. Like,
Yeah.
you guys can, like, really tear it up, and, you know, you have one bad shot, you have one, you know, one bad swing, you're toast, you know.
I think there's some holes that, you know, people would say like, oh, longer hitters have an advantage here or whatever. But I do think there is enough risk involved in a lot of those shots, right? Like, it's not just like, oh, everybody can bomb it over. Like, I think a 9 is a perfect example. It's like, you know, if you're a long hitter, like clearing the right bunker is decently easy, but like the left is not. You know what I mean? So there's like some risk with every shot with that. This course is amazing.
It's a great course.
Well, if you want a great little anecdote, if you know Paul Jansen was the key guy in the remodel of the club, worked very closely with Robert Chen Jones Jr., and he was the one that sort of helped sell it to the membership, lots of town meetings, things like that. So when it came to setting up the fairway bunkers on like 3, 6, 17, places like that, and he was a good player at that time. He was a 6 handicap. He went out, teed up 4 or 5 balls, hit his longest shots, walked 10, 15 yards past that and said, put the bunkers here. So that's why all our bunkers are where they are. It may be apocryphal, it may be mythology, but we always credit him for that.
How was the process of the redesign from a member perspective?
Challenging, very challenging.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit.
Well, you know, you always have a mixture of people in the club, and often a very strong senior group. And they're looking at what the project was going to cost. And again, don't ask me the numbers. I seriously don't. You know, I just pay the check and show up, you know, kind of thing. But it was a price point that meant more to some members than to others. And they were also looking at the time the course would be down. So we had pretty strong pushback from the seniors. And Brian Smith was the president at the time. And I remember kind of telling him, Brian, you have to think about the next 100 that are going to join the club and the 100 that are going to leave the club. That's not really who we're building it for. And it worked out. We actually continued to grow during the redo because there was a lot of excitement about the project. So I was on the membership committee at that time. We had no problems recruiting members with the course completely down.
Me and a buddy who's a member here, we bought that condo on the 12th tee box.
Really?
So this is in 2017 we bought it.
Uh-huh.
And so I didn't know that the course was redesigned.
Mm-hmm.
And we go out to the patio, and there's golf ball holes on
Yeah.
the patio.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, the 11th green is there, and the 12th tee box is over here. I'm like, what is happening right now? Is there a golf ball? So there used to be a par 4 there, correct?
Yes.
Right. 12th was a par 4?
Yeah, they switched a couple things, and 17 was a par 4. So they changed to 12 to a 3, 17 to a 5, which gave us 5 par 3s, 5 par 5, which is an unusual sort of makeup.
Talk to us about the Contra Costa Cup.
Yeah. Favorite 2 days of the year.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have 3 daughters, and they're wonderful kids. When they were young, not even thinking about getting married, I told them, you know, I want you to find somebody you really care about. I want you to get married on any weekend you want. But if you want me there, the second weekend in November is not when you schedule a wedding.
Tell me you're a golfer without telling me you're a golfer.
Yeah, I circled that one in red at the beginning of the year. Once I became aware of the thing and started to have the time to be able to play the tournaments. It dates back probably 25 years. originally to one member, a lovely guy that we lost a couple of years ago to a cancer he never should have gotten, a guy named Brian Levy. I'm hoping the people that listen to this know him and remember him. If not, find me sometime, jump in, let's play around, and I will fill 4 hours with stories about this guy. But he arrived a very good player, having played at UC San Diego, gone to law school, got an accounting degree, went into real estate, and did well enough to be able to organize his life around playing golf. And he joined our club, a great player, and immediately kind of looked around how the tournament schedule worked. And back then, the men's club had a lot to do with running the tournaments, and they had a system where they were assigned points for your performance, first through fourth in every tournament, with a year-end points list. And they would do some payouts, I think, for the top 10, something like that. And ceremonially, there was kind of a player of the year. And he sort of looked at that and he said, why don't we do a year-end Ryder Cup where we take the top 22 players, and at that time, I believe, one assistant pro on each team. I know that from one of my first Ryder Cups. And build two 12-man teams and do a 2-day Ryder Cup the second weekend in November. And his idea was to really model it after the real Ryder Cup, both as a celebration for a year of grinding these tournaments, getting the points to get you in it, but also to really give you the feeling of what it's like to climb in the ropes and play in that kind of environment. And that's been the nature of it for the last 25 years. It's only gotten better and better and more popular.
So cool. This has been amazing, man, diving in, talking a little bit about the history and everything. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Tony, welcome to the show. You're already my favorite guest because you've just served us a glass of wine as we got started.
Let's go.
So
okay.
This is fantastic.
Cool.
Welcome, man. We are excited about everything that's going on here in Food and Bev. First off, I think we got some really cool stuff going on in the events soon.
Yep.
Talk a little about what's going on here in March with the events.
Sure. So, we write our calendar probably in November, the year before. We try to go through each month, try to figure out, hey, what do we do well? What do we think that we can improve on, right? And we try to figure out, look, are we trying to have some formal events, some informal events focusing on families, events focusing on the wine program and cocktail creation, all of that, and then we go from there. So, we started off in January with the Don Julio tequila dinner, which I thought was a big hit. Fortunately, it's dry January, right? So we're kind of running into the issue of, a lot of people saying, look, I'm off the sauce for this month, but next time you do it, let me know, right? So that was our first one that we did, and it was fun. It probably had 15, 20 people, and it was a little intimate dinner that people liked. But, right after that, we went right into the chicken and bingos, which everyone knows, and that's a staple of the club. And I always joke around when I first heard about it. I said, this sounds kind of stupid. I don't get it, right? It seems really informal and something that you do at like a church or a retirement home. And then I experienced it, and I did the numbers, and I understood it right off the bat. I was like, this is really neat. And everyone gets into it, and a 6-year-old, a 96-year-old, anyone can win, and it's a big hit. So obviously, we do those 8 times a year, usually 2 months on, 1 month off. And then, what did we do for the rest of January? We had a kids cooking class, so that's another focus that we've been doing lately, is understanding, look, what are the families looking for, right? What can we do that is educational for the kids and gets them involved? I think last year we had a pizza class with Chef Brett, and Fabian did his pancake class, and it was a sellout. It was really cool, and the kids got their diplomas, and we took pictures at the end, and it was a really neat thing. So I think in February later in the month, we have an adult cooking class, so a board-to-bird class. So we do the full breakdown on, you get the full chicken, and how do you make skewers out of it? How do you get chicken salad out of it? How do you break down and get the breast and the legs and make a dinner out of it? So Fabian's done a really good job of taking on these educational classes with the kids and with the adults, and we want to try to do 3 to 4 of those a year and just keep it going. I think early in March, we have the Kettle One cocktail class. So Brett, I think you were at the first one that we did last year or 2 years ago. Another educational piece, I think, that gets members involved, and they can learn. And we have, professionals that come out and say, look, here's 5 different drinks that you could do from home that aren't that hard, but I think would impress your guests when they come to your house. So that's, I think that's in 2 or 3 weeks. And I mean, shoot, we've got so many events going on. We have 4 a month. So sometimes it gets hard to keep track of what's going on in the next week or 2 weeks, but really active. I mean, you bounce that with the association play and all the other outside events that we host and corporate lunches and weddings and all that. So we've got a lot going on. Our calendar is as busy as it's ever been. So, yeah.
One of the things that we do really well here at the club is wine, and we appreciate you sharing this with us.
Of course, yeah.
It's delicious. Have you ever noticed, like, tasting notes could be erotica? Like, I wanted to start a Twitter feed one time that was erotica or wine tasting notes. And, like, you never know. It lingers in your palate like a long-lost lover. I've read some really interesting wine descriptors. What do you do about that?
So how I've always done it is, we switched our house wine 8 or 9 months ago. We brought in Klein Cellars for our Chard and our house cab. And what we did is we had, 10 staff members come in and we sat down and we did blind tasting. And we brought in all the different wines that met our price point. And, we had to switch. I think we were using Josh for quite some time. And that was just something that we wanted to get away from. So what we did is we did a blind tasting. And everyone writes down all of their notes saying, I'm getting hints of leather. I'm getting taste of pepper. I'm getting, cherry or blackberry or whatever. And everyone ranks their top 3. And with Klein, they ended up being the winner for the Chard and the Cab, and that's how we did the switch. So it's tricky because everyone has a different palate, and we have some members who are very, very expert level wine members, and then we have some that says, hey, I want my same old Belleglas or Rombauer or Frank Family, and that's it. I'm very brand loyal. So the challenge with that, when you have 400 to 500 members and 400 to 500 different opinions, is, you try to make your changes every month, every 2 months. So Christian does a really good job with the wine program. Ordering, we try to make a change, every 5 to 6 weeks, at least 1 or 2 changes by the glass. The challenge at this club that I've experienced is that we are a huge by the glass club, but we're not a big by the bottle club. With, I think, 80% of our members living in Walnut Creek and Lafayette, it's different than a club where you're at Diablo or Blackhawk where you drive your golf cart home for 5 minutes. I know, Brett, you're right down the street, but most members are 15, 20 minutes away. So, we're a big, 1 or 2 glass and go home type of club, which is fine. But our wine program is basically centered around the by the glass options. I think for every glass that we sell, or for every bottle we sell like 25 glasses, right? Which is very, very, balance isn't there. Whereas, at a restaurant, your bottle program is huge, right? So that's been our, not necessarily challenge, but that's our identity. And that's what we focus on when we write the wine menu. And then we also have a great case program too. I mean, I think we sell more cases than we do individual bottles, which is pretty crazy.
I know I take you up on that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think his answer to your question there, JD, was that no, you're just the only one with a dirty mind.
I might be.
That thinks that way.
It's just how you describe it, right? Some people say, it's...
My wife and I literally looked into making this Twitter account and just putting descriptors, and you had to guess whether it was erotica or wine descriptors.
Yeah, I like it, just as long as we don't get a harassment case when we start writing down our ideas. But no, I like the idea. There's no wrong, that's the fun thing about wine, is there's no wrong description.
Right.
You can get 5 people in a room, and all 5 people have a completely different, viewpoint of that wine. So that's what makes it fun. I know certain clubs, when I was at Diablo, are towards the end of my time, we want to do a complete change in the wine program, where, before it was a lot of the same stuff, your Belleglasses and Franks and all that, and we went all boutique. And this was right around the time I left. So a year later, I always check in. I'm like, hey guys, how'd we do with the boutique program? And it was one of those things where in theory it made sense and it was cool, and a lot of the wine members thought it was a great idea. But then a year later, you've got everyone saying, what happened to my Rombauer? What happened to my Frank Family, my Belleglas? And they ended up having to sell, I think, like 75% of that inventory. So you got to find the balance between what the members are looking for and what, as a management team, what you're looking for, and deliver on that. But it's so tricky because you can never fully nail it, because everyone's got such a different perspective on what that program needs to be.
Topic of wine here.
Yeah.
My favorite event, 2 of them, the wine fairs. We got one coming up in March.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how you try to spice that up each time, right? Like,
sure.
I noticed that you obviously change vendors and things like that. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I've learned when I got here, each club does a different type of wine sale. Some do them smaller, some do big, some just go all out in the holiday season and they skip the spring. We do too. And what I've learned is people don't come necessarily to buy the wine. They come for the experience, and they want to taste, and they want to be educated on it. Not only that, they want to make a little bit of a dinner out of it. And Chef Brett did a great job with this, and Fabian's taking it and running with it. But we try to make it a culinary experience as well. It's not just cheese and crackers and nuts and the simple stuff, but you can really show off your creativity. And Fabian and his team do a great job each time of writing completely different menus. And it got to the point now where you've got associations, the women and the seniors, and they go, hey, can you just emulate the exact same culinary experience that we had at the wine fair for our tournament luncheon? And we're like, sure, if that's what you want. But, the goal is, one, the salespeople got to be intriguing, too. I think some places you go, I've been to wine fairs, went to Moragas, and, you get some of the same faces, and they sell the same wines over and over. And, if you get new faces in there and you get some fresh blood and fresh energy, I think a lot of members resonate with that, and they get to learn a lot. And the fun part, too, is if you're experienced enough, you know that you can take home 6 or 7 half bottles on your way home. So a lot of people like to have fun with that and, stay till 10, 11 o'clock at night. But no, it's a fun event. It's a lot of work on the back end, too. Christian has done a really good job taking that on. When you look at those books, just the amount of time and organization that goes into it, it's, if you're off by one number, the whole house falls down, right? So it's a lot of work on the front end, a lot of work on the back end. Obviously, we understand the timing of members needing to pick up their wine and, hey, I've got a trip and I'm going to Palm Springs next week. Can you get it to me by Tuesday? And so it's a fun thing. You always want it to be different each time. And, the goal is 20 to 25 tables and vendors, because I've also learned if you go too heavy, it's overwhelming for the members, for the salespeople, when you're like, I can't try 700 wines, right? So you got to find the sweet spot of how many wineries are out there and then deliver on that. So,
especially when you're like me, where I'm not spitting out the wine.
That's right.
Most
people don't. Yeah.
I'm not the taste and spit. No, I'm
the buckets have gotten smaller and smaller each time. I'm like, I don't think anyone's spitting. So, it's all right.
Awesome. Well, Tony, we appreciate the time and all the work you're putting in on the wine fair and the event. It's been great to be a part of this club since you've been here, and congratulations on your newlywed.
Thank you.
Status.
Thank you. Yes, I know. We just hit the 100-day mark the other day, so
awesome.
Things are going well, and I'm happy to be here. The team has been fantastic. Fabian and his guys and the front of house staff, everyone has such good attitude and they care, and it goes such a long ways. It's not me, it's the team. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
Just
I appreciate
a reminder,
it.
what we talked about there, March 12th is the cocktail class, which is going to be really cool. And then
Thursday.
March 21st is the wine fair. And reminder that it helps the staff a ton when we sign up. So go through the app and make sure that we sign up as soon as you see it and you want to go. Gives them a good idea of how many people are coming.
Yep, absolutely.
Sign up before you show up.
Please. Dining, events, anything. And it always helps when the members make reservations just to give us an idea of who's coming in. So.
Awesome.
I like it. All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, Kevin, thanks for joining us today. Super excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to Contra Costa, and give a brief background in your history in golf.
Absolutely. So I've been here since September of 2022. Prior to that, I was head golf professional at Castlewood in Pleasanton. I was there for 9 years. But golf has been a huge part of me as a person. So I actually grew up in this area. Some of the members know that I actually grew up right outside of the 13th hole there off of St. Germain. So that was my childhood home. Grandparents lived in Lafayette and Pleasant Hill, went to Monte Vista High School, played college golf at Washington State. So they've got a fellow Mustang there. And, just had a kind of full history professionally. Played golf overseas in Asia for 5 years and spent a couple of years in Augusta, Georgia, as well as Sarasota, Florida. So kind of well-traveled, but, this brings me back home here, back to the original community where I started, and it's nice to be home.
What'd you do in Augusta, Georgia?
So right after my final year in college at Washington State, I did a semester there for an internship, and then I've also followed my golf coach out there for a couple years. So that was the couple years prior to me playing some of the mini tours and traveling overseas. So in a town that operates, I would say, 1 week a year, it's a good place to practice golf and stay focused. There's really not much outside of Washington Road. So for those of you who had, the bucket list chance of going out there, it's a city that isn't really flashy, right? It's not like Walnut Creek, not like San Francisco or LA.
Talk about, so I'm going to tie this in because I know, JD, you want to talk about this with cold weather golf, but I mean, you in Washington State, you had to deal with lots of cold weather golf, yeah?
Absolutely. So over in Pullman, Washington, during the spring seasons, my first season there, I was, really thinking, why did I decide to come up here? This is for a kid from the Bay Area who hasn't played in cold conditions or snow before. So we get to our first practice in a snow day. There's snow in Pullman. We have to drive 45 minutes to Lewiston and Clarkston, and we're there in high 20-degree weather, rain sideways, sleet, you name it. So I think the keys to good golf in cold weather, be prepared, right? Bring your parka jackets, bring your umbrella, bring extra towels, warm gloves, and a couple tips for when you're actually out on the course playing shots. Don't hit it fat, right? Because those are going to hurt. You're going to catch mud all over the ball and your hands. They're going to sting, so make sure you play that ball back a little bit. Get a little bit more shallow with it, and so don't get steep.
Yeah, it's crazy because right now there's snow on Diablo. I know when I walked the course this morning, it was still a little wet. I thought I saw Ryan taking 2 of everything on the new tram that we got, getting ready for the great flood that was coming. But man, I tell you, when the course is wet like this, it can be pretty challenging to strike the ball well. Besides putting the ball back in your stance, is there anything else that we could focus on? Just quick, keep front of mind as you're hitting the ball?
Yeah, I would say always take some extra club, right? People don't realize how much temperature and humidity are going to affect ball flight. So it's usually about every 10 degrees, you're probably going to lose another 2 to 3 yards. So, if you're hitting your 7-iron 150 on a 65-degree day, you might hit it 135 on a 40-degree day. So, a couple keys like that. Make sure you're taking enough club. Be modest with yourself. Don't get your ego in there that I'm going to hit that perfect shot 150. Take your medicine, and if you get in tough spots out in the rough too, sometimes we're lucky enough to find it if the grass hasn't been mowed. So make sure you're just getting as much club on the ball as you can. So
I think that thought of the ego and the calculation, so impressive watching these guys on TV, because we don't see the fact that they're going through these we just see them hitting good shots, but it's different conditions every single time. Talk a little bit about that cold weather, normal weather, but just that idea of how we're calculating these right numbers when we're out there playing.
Yeah. So I would say that you want to make sure you have to know what your carry numbers are. For people who haven't been on a launch monitor before, I would highly recommend that. That is a service that we offer here through launch monitors. Find out what your carry numbers are, because if you've got 135 to the pin and it's 130 carry to the front edge, you got to make sure we're carrying at least 132 to 135, right? If you don't carry your 8-iron 135, then you're probably not going to get there, right? So it's going to land up short, and then you face a tough short-sided chip. So make sure you know your carry numbers. Make sure you're taking enough club.
I love it. We're sitting here in March now. We've got 10 more months of golf here at Contra Costa. As we look at the schedule and the events, one of the most prestigious things that we do here is the Contra Costa Cup. Tell us about the Contra Costa Cup, and tell us how does one earn points to participate in that?
Yeah, we're really excited. So each year we do a Ryder Cup style format competition between 2 teams. So the top 2-point earners through the events during the year, and the events for this year are going to be your NCGA Northeast Bay Zone Qualifier, St. Patrick's Day Scramble, 4-ball match play, alternate shot, Directors Cup, Club Championship, and member. So all those events accumulate with the top 2-point earners being the 2 captains. They'll hand select the top 20. They'll do a draft, and then they'll do 2 captains picks. So it's 2.5 days of fun Ryder Cup style formats. We do a pairings party and a dinner, doing chipping contests off of the card deck to the 9th hole in the dark with lights. So it's one of the greatest events, and definitely one of our members' highlights of the year.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but Brett and I won the second flight of the St. Patrick's Day Shamrock Shootout last year. Kind of a big deal. But what you're saying is these events actually mean more than just having a good time. There are a point system that you can go accumulate points, and it means something towards the end of the year.
Yes. So after each event, we'll send out a updated points standings, and we'll also have it linked on the website as well.
I did have some FOMO last year when these guys were out on the deck, and they're all wearing their jackets for the dinner. And I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And Kevin's like, Contra Costa Cup. I was like, all right, I'm in on that next year. I gotta get my game in shape because it looked pretty fun.
Defending Flight 2 champs. We got to go get it.
There we go. Yeah, make sure everyone joins us for St. Patrick's Shamrock Shootout. I mean, that's one of the best events of the year. Obviously, Irish St. Patrick's themed. We'll have some green beer. Chef and Tony will prepare some nice Irish themed foods. Be a lot of fun.
Boiled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much, guys.
Always fun.
We'll see you guys on the
Definitely want to
course.
have more tips on here that you gave, because even I just learned a bunch
Absolutely.
having you on, and we're excited about all the things to come. Thank you again.
Will do.
Awesome.
Thank you, Brett.
Go
Thank you,
Mustangs.
JD.
Cheers.
Go Mustangs. Cheers.
Brett, what an episode. I loved every minute of that. I mean, just everything from we've got snow on the mountain, looking at Diablo right now and getting tips from Kevin Chen, to talking to Al. I'm still trying to figure out what this wine is, though, because it's damn good. I
Me
usually
too.
don't like white, but it's
Either, but-
it's pretty damn good. So we're going to have to circle back with Tony and see what he poured us there, but it was pretty good. If you like this episode, make sure you hit like and subscribe. We're going to be coming back next week with the General, with Audi, and Aaron, our producer, the man who makes us look good.
He's, as good as you can make us.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, listen, you're a handsome lad. For two bearded fellows, I think he does okay making us look okay.
Yeah, some don't get the senior discount and some do.
Yeah, that's a story for them. But till next time, we'll see you on the course. Thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you guys out on the course. That's a wrap for this episode of Contra Costa Confidential. We hope you enjoyed the look at the stories and the strategy behind our club life. Until next time, we'll see you on the links, or we'll see you in the clubhouse.
Be sure to stay connected by subscribing to the show. You can find full episodes on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and follow the club's Instagram feed for excerpts and highlights. And as always, keep an eye on the weekly approach for the latest news from the pro shop and beyond. And remember, what happens at Contra Costa definitely does not stay at Contra Costa.